Most people know Jackie Kennedy as the most elegant woman who ever lived in the White House. The pink suit, the pearls, the composure. But here is what almost no one knows. Before Jackie Kennedy became the most photographed woman in America, she buried a child alone, while her husband was away campaigning. And that was only the beginning. Jackie Kennedy lost 3 children. Most people cannot even name one of them. I'm Mary, and today we are going to talk about the woman behind the image, the private Jackie that the cameras never showed you. Because here is the question that nobody asks. If Jackie Kennedy had everything, the power, the money, the most famous husband in the world, why did she spend most of her life grieving in silence? Stay with me, because the answer will change how you see every single photograph of her. What was Jackie doing when her first child was buried, and where was JFK? Answer comes in next few minutes. To understand what Jackie Kennedy lost, you first need to understand what she was before she became Jackie Kennedy, the real Jacqueline Bouvier. She was born on the 28th of July 1929 in Southampton, New York. Her father, John "Black Jack" Bouvier, was charming, handsome, and deeply unreliable. An alcoholic, a womanizer, a man who called his eldest daughter the most beautiful daughter a man ever had, and then disappeared when she needed him most. Her parents divorced when she was 11. It was the first crack in a world that looked perfect from the outside. She was brilliant. She spoke French, Spanish, and Italian. She won a junior editorship at Vogue magazine. She studied at the Sorbonne in Paris. She wrote poetry and drew illustrations and read constantly. She was not a woman who simply looked beautiful. She was a woman who thought deeply and felt everything. The marriage that changed everything. She met John F. Kennedy at a dinner party in May 1952. He was a congressman. She was 22. He was 36, and already legendary for his charm and his carelessness with women. She knew about his reputation. She accepted his proposal anyway. Their wedding, on the 12th of September 1953, was called the social event of the year. 700 guests at the ceremony. 1,200 at the reception. From the outside, a fairy tale. From the inside, something more complicated. JFK's closest friend would later admit that Jackie knew exactly what she was marrying. She understood his nature, and she chose him anyway because she loved him. Not the senator, not the image, him. But love, as Jackie Kennedy was about to discover, does not protect you from grief. Jackie's smoking habit was one of the most carefully hidden secrets of the White House years. In Part 4, I am going to tell you what her doctors believed it cost her, and it will break your heart. JFK cried only twice in public in his entire political life. One of those times involves a story almost nobody knows. That story is coming in Part 5. The first crack came quietly, without cameras, without headlines. The miscarriage nobody mentions. In 1955, 2 years into their marriage, Jackie Kennedy suffered a miscarriage. There was no public announcement, no statement. She was expected to recover and to continue. And she did, because that was what was required of her. Arabella, the child with no name. On the 23rd of August 1956, Jackie Kennedy gave birth to a stillborn daughter. She was full term. The baby was perfectly formed, and she never took a single breath. Her name, given years later by the Kennedy family, was Arabella. Now here is the detail that nobody tells you. When Arabella was born, John F. Kennedy was not there. He was on a yacht in the Mediterranean, on vacation, with friends. When his wife delivered their stillborn daughter alone in a hospital in Newport, Rhode Island, her husband was somewhere in the ocean between Italy and Greece. His brother, Robert Kennedy, was the one who came. Robert, who sat with Jackie. Robert, who made the arrangements. Robert, who buried the baby. JFK returned days later. And here is the question I want you to sit with, because the answer comes later in this video. Was this the moment Jackie Kennedy understood something about her marriage that she had been trying not to see? The world saw nothing. 3 months after Arabella's death, Jackie Kennedy appeared on the cover of Life magazine, smiling, composed, holding baby Caroline. The stillborn daughter was never mentioned. The miscarriage was never mentioned. Jackie Kennedy learned very early that her grief was not permitted to be public. Arabella was not given a name for years. But in 1963, something happened that finally brought her parents together in a grief they had never shared. I will tell you exactly what happened in part 5. And I promise you will not be prepared for it. By the time John F. Kennedy became President of the United States in January 1960, one Jackie Kennedy had already buried one child and lost another. The world saw none of it. The White House beautiful prison. The White House years are remembered as Camelot, the gowns, the state dinners, the cultural events, the restoration project that transformed the residence into a showcase of American history. What is not remembered is what it cost her. Jackie Kennedy described the White House privately as a glittering, cruel place. She was 31 years old. She had a toddler daughter and a newborn son. She was the most watched woman in America, and she was doing all of it while carrying grief that she had never been permitted to express publicly. The secret nobody photographed. Jackie Kennedy smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day. In public, nothing. Not one photograph exists of Jackie Kennedy smoking. She was meticulous about it. She would extinguish a cigarette the moment cameras appeared. She trained her staff never to mention it. Behind closed doors, 3 packs. Every single day. Now, here is what one of the viewers of a recent video about Jackie pointed out, and it stopped me completely. The 3-pack-a-day smoking habit likely led to the premature births and subsequent deaths of several of their children. She is right. Medical research now confirms that heavy smoking during pregnancy significantly increases the risk of premature birth, stillbirth, and underdeveloped lungs in newborns. Arabella, the 1,955 miscarriage, and the child who was coming, Patrick. I am not telling you this to judge Jackie Kennedy. I am telling you this because I want you to understand something. Jackie Kennedy may have spent the rest of her life knowing that her most private habit, the one she hid so carefully from every camera, may have contributed to the deaths of her children. She never spoke about this publicly, not once. Imagine carrying that. JFK's other women. During the White House years, John F. Kennedy continued his affairs. Marilyn Monroe, Mary Pinchot Meyer. Others whose names history has partially recorded and partially buried. Jackie knew. This is documented. Multiple biographers confirm it. She once told her friend that she had made her peace with it, that she had decided to focus on what the marriage was rather than what it was not. But making peace with something does not mean it does not hurt you. In August 1960, something happened that changed Jackie and JFK's marriage completely. Friends who saw them in the final weeks of his life said they had never seen the couple more connected, more tender, more genuinely close. That story is in part 5, and it is the most heartbreaking thing I have found in all of my research. The 7th of August, 1963. 5 weeks before her due date, Jackie Kennedy went into labor. Patrick Bouvier Kennedy. The baby was delivered by emergency cesarean section at Otis Air Force Base near Cape Cod, Massachusetts. He weighed 4 pounds, 10.5 ounces. He was alive. His name was Patrick Bouvier Kennedy. And for 39 hours he fought. Patrick had hyaline membrane disease, a condition where the lungs are not fully developed. Every breath required effort his tiny body could barely manage. JFK was there, not on a yacht in the Mediterranean, not campaigning, there at the hospital, pressing his finger through the glass of the incubator, touching his son's hand. Jackie was still recovering from the cesarean in a different hospital. She could not be there. Patrick was transferred from Cape Cod to Boston Children's Hospital, the best facility available. JFK followed him there. On the 9th of August 1963, 39 hours after he was born, Patrick Bouvier Kennedy died. John F. Kennedy wept openly. This was only the second time in his public life that anyone had seen him cry. He had to be escorted from the room. What happened after? Now here is what almost no video about Jackie Kennedy tells you. Patrick's death changed something between Jackie and JFK. Friends who saw them in the weeks that followed described a couple that seemed genuinely closer than they had been in years. More tender, more openly affectionate. JFK told his friend journalist Charles Bartlett, "I just wish I could help her more." Jackie was photographed holding his hand at public events, something that had been rare between them. The grief of Patrick had done what the happiness of the White House years had not quite managed. It had brought them fully together. And here is the question I want you to think about. If Patrick had lived, do you think JFK would still have gone to Dallas on the 22nd of November 1963? There is no answer. There is only the silence of what might have been. 11 weeks after Patrick died, John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas. After the assassination, Jackie Kennedy did something that shocked everyone in the room, something she has never been fully credited for. I am going to tell you exactly what she did, and why it was one of the most powerful acts of any woman in American history. That is coming in part 6. The 22nd of November, 1963, Dallas, Texas. You know the broad facts. The motorcade through Dealey Plaza, the shots, the chaos. But here is what you may not know. The pink suit. After JFK was pronounced dead at Parkland Memorial Hospital, Lyndon B. Johnson needed to be sworn in as President of the United States. He wanted Jackie Kennedy present. Her aides urged her to change her clothes. The pink Chanel suit, the one she had been wearing when her husband was shot, was soaked in his blood. Jackie Kennedy refused to change. She stood beside Lyndon Johnson as he took the oath of office, still wearing the blood-soaked suit. When Lady Bird Johnson quietly suggested she might want to change first, Jackie replied, "Let them see what they have done to Jack." Think about that. In the most devastating moment of her life, 3 months after burying Patrick, having just watched her husband die in her arms, Jackie Kennedy made a calculated, deliberate, powerful decision. She decided that the world would not be permitted to look away. She was 34 years old. What nobody tells you about the funeral. Jackie Kennedy planned JFK's state funeral almost entirely herself. She modeled it on Abraham Lincoln's funeral. She requested the riderless horse. She requested the eternal flame at the graveside. She requested that the casket be carried on a horse-drawn caisson through the streets of Washington. She walked behind the casket on foot in public, with world leaders walking beside her. Every detail. Her decisions. A woman who had just lost her husband, who had buried 2 children before him, organized one of the most significant state funerals in American history. In 72 hours. And here is the question I want you to ask yourself. Was Jackie Kennedy's composure during those days an act of extraordinary strength, or was it the only way she knew how to survive? The answer, I think, is both. After everything, after the children, after Dallas, after the grief, Jackie Kennedy made a decision that shocked the entire world. A decision that destroyed her public image overnight. In part 7, I am going to tell you why she made that decision, and why, when you hear the real reason, you will understand it completely. The 20th of October 1968. 5 years after Dallas. Jackie Kennedy married Aristotle Onassis. The world was horrified. America's widow, the keeper of the Camelot Flame, had married a short, stocky, 6'2" Greek shipping billionaire who was already involved with opera singer Maria Callas. The headlines were savage. The public felt betrayed. But here is what everyone missed. What Jackie actually said. Jackie Kennedy told her friend that after Robert Kennedy was assassinated in June 1968, she made a decision. She said, "If they are killing Kennedys, my children are targets. I want to get out of this country." That is not a woman chasing wealth or glamour. That is a mother. A mother who had already buried 3 children. Who had watched her husband die in her arms. Who had just watched her closest support, Robert Kennedy, be shot dead in a hotel kitchen. She was 39 years old. She had 2 living children, and she was terrified. Aristotle Onassis gave her what no amount of Kennedy money or Secret Service protection had ever provided: a private island, a yacht, the ability to disappear completely from the world that had consumed everything she loved. The question is not, why did Jackie marry Onassis? The real question is, after everything she had survived, can you honestly say you would have done differently? Jackie Kennedy died on the 19th of May 1994. She was 64 years old. Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. The same disease that took her quietly the way grief had always moved through her life, without announcement, without performance. Her son, John F. Kennedy Jr., spoke to the press outside her apartment. She was surrounded by her friends and her family and her books, and the people and the things that she loved. She did it in her very own way and on her own terms. What she left behind. She is buried at Arlington National Cemetery, beside JFK, beside Patrick, beside Arabella, the family that was always too small. Finally together. The lesson. Here is what I take from the life of Jacqueline Kennedy. She was a woman of extraordinary intelligence, extraordinary grief, and extraordinary discipline. She lost 3 children. She lost a husband to an assassin's bullet. She lost a brother-in-law to another assassin. She lived for 30 years under a level of public scrutiny that would have destroyed most people. And she survived it not by performing strength, but by making quiet, deliberate choices about what to show and what to protect. The pink suit was not vanity, it was witness. The Onassis marriage was not betrayal, it was survival. The composure was not coldness. It was the only armor she had. Jackie Kennedy never asked the world to understand her. She simply continued with grace, with grief, and with a privacy that the world never quite forgave her for. Before you go, I want to ask you something that I have been thinking about since I started researching this video. Jackie Kennedy lost 3 children. She buried them quietly, without public grief, without permission to fall apart. Do you think the world ever truly let Jackie Kennedy grieve? Or did it only want her composed because her composure was more comfortable for everyone else? Leave your answer below. I read every single comment. If this story moved you, please share it. Because Arabella Kennedy has been buried without a name for most of history. Patrick Kennedy lived for 39 hours and changed his parents' marriage completely. And Jackie Kennedy carried all of it quietly, privately, alone. The least we can do is finally see the full picture. Next week, we go deeper into the Kennedy world. A woman who inherited everything the Kennedy name promised and paid the price for every single part of it. Subscribe so you do not miss it. This is Mary of Shadows. Thank you for being here.